Good morning once again, class. Today we're going to continue with our pronunciation class. But this time around, we're going to look at the passage. We'll read it, and we want it to sound naturally the way a native speaker speaks. So we'll take note of the short and the long A sound in our last class. We use the sound in a passage and we read it fluently and let it sound naturally the way a native speaker speaks. So we're going to look at the concept of connected speech, speech reduction, intonation, and stress. What do we mean by this concept? When you talk about connected speech, a native speaker does not just pick words and say it one by one, but they tends to connect speech together and flow like a single word. What I'm saying is that they can connect two or three words together while speaking and it flows as a single word. You're going to notice that in the lesson today. So that is connected speech. What is speech reduction? Speech reduction is when you use contracted speech. What do I mean by that? For example, you want to say she will. She will. Instead of saying she will, you say she'll. That is reduced speech. Or she is reading the book. So instead of saying she is, you say she's reading the book. That is, you've reduced she is to she's. That is speech reduction. Okay, what about intonation? Intonation talk about the pitch in sound, the rising and the falling sound. For example, if you want to ask a question that requires yes or no, you use a rising tone. For example, where you like to go with me? That is a rising tone. Now, if you want to answer this question, you use the falling tone. Yes, I would like to go with you. That is a falling tone. So the rising tone, the pitch is high. The falling tone, the pitch is low. Now, what about the use of stress in everyday speech? We use stress, like I told you the other time when we talk about the long E sound. I said it has a stress marker, and because of that, we lengthen the sound, as in E, not like H, as in the short sound. But in long sound, we say E. That is stress. So, how do we use it in our everyday English? We stress word of importance that we want our listener to focus on. For example, look at the shape on the hill. I actually want my reader, my listener, to focus on the shape and hill. So I'm going to stress shape and hill. Look at the shape and the hill. So do you notice the way I stress shape and hill so that my listener can focus on those two important words, shape and hill. That is stress. So we've talked about connected speech. Connected speech is when you join words together and make it flow, run as if it's a single word. You can join 2 or 3 words together, 3, 4 words sometimes, and it runs like a single word. So that is how a native speaker speak. And reduced speech, that is where we use contracted verb, like she is becomes she's, I will becomes I'll, and they are become there. So that is reduced speech. While intonation talks about the rising and the falling tone. For example, would you like to go with me? That is rising tone. Oh yes, I would like to go with you. That is falling tone. And we use stress when we want our listener to take note of certain words in our expression. For example, look at the shape and the head. So you discover look is stress, shape is stress, and head is stress. That is stress in English pronunciation. Let's look at this passage. I want you to pay note. You already know the pronunciation of some of these words like sit and reading and sit. Those are long, short and long A sound. But we're going to read this passage and we want you to sound naturally the way a native speaker speak. So I'll read it first, then you read it after me. Laser said on a small seat near the green field. Laser said on a small seat near the green field. She's reading a little book and eating sweet biscuit. She's reading a little book and eating sweet biscuit. Son, our friend James arrives and said, "Please keep this seat for me." They smile and begin to speak quietly. They sail the ship in the distant hill and laugh together. Later says she will leave to visit her sister. James stays a little longer. The evening is calm and peaceful, and both friends feel happy talking together. Okay, I want you to read it after me and pronounce it the same way I'm gonna pronounce it, making use of the connected speech, the intonation, the stress, and the reduced speech. So say it after me the same way I pronounce it. Let's say it on a small seat near the green field. She's reading a little book and eating sweet biscuit. Soon a French James arrives and says, "Please keep this seat for me." They smile and begin to speak quietly. They see sheep on the distant hill and laugh together. Later says she'll leave soon to visit her sister. Jim stays a little longer. The evening is calm and peaceful, and both friends feel happy talking together. So now we're going to look at a short video. You listen to conversation between two friends and you see the way they communicate naturally. Naturally. Take note of the connected speech, the reduced speech, the stress, and the intonation in their speech. I want you to listen to the video, and when we come back, you'll tell me what you can actually get from the video and where they make use of these concepts: connected speech, speech reduction, intonation, and stress. Let's listen to the video now.
Hi, Jim. Please keep this seat for me.
Sure, Lisa. I'll sit here.
Look at that sheep on the hill.
Yes, I see it. It looks funny.
It's so peaceful here. I like sitting in this green field.
Me too. It feels really nice and quiet.
Look at the sheep on the green hill.
It looks so peaceful.
Okay, you've seen the video, and I believe you actually listen to their conversation, see the way they sound naturally. So I want you to practice to listen to the video over and over again. You're gonna practice it, at home several times and try as much as possible to speak the way they speak. So that's going to be your homework. Okay, but this time around, I want you both to read these two passages. So, Brown, you're going to read the first paragraph, just taking note of those four concepts: the connected speech, the reduced speech, the stress, and the intonation. While you read it, let it flow like a native speaker. While Margaret, you read the second passage fluently. Let it sound like a native speaker. Okay, Brand, over to you. Beautiful. Okay, Margaret, the second paragraph. Beautiful. Thank you. That is the end of today's lesson. When next week meet, I will go through what you've done and I'll give you a feedback. Thank you. Till we meet again. Bye for now.